One thing I really like about it, and I remember doing a story about the Tom DeLay Congress and interviewing a lot of the members from different generations. Right, so the older members all talked about how back in the '60s and '70s and even going into the '80s, there was a system that was in place that was unwritten, but basically the idea was the two parties would say what they would make their public statements about each other during the week, but that the committee chairs and the ranking members would get together over the weekend. Their families would interact. They would play golf together. They would do other things. Mm-hmm. And then they would hash out what actually the fine print of each of the pieces of legislation would be, which amendments would go forward, which ones wouldn't. And by the early 90s, that system just completely evaporated as this new brand of politics came up, probably beginning with like Newt Gingrich, but now it's universal, where it's just nonstop combat. There's no question of actual, subterranean cooperation between these parties. They're legitimately just trying to undo each other constantly. And so, what you're proposing is basically a structural solution to what was previously, an informal a mechanism that was in place just because they had a patriotic instinct to do things in the best interest of the country, right? Since that no longer exists, you have to come up with a structural way to get there. And I think it's interesting that this is an idea that could provide that.